All right. Men's lacrosse head coach Troy Moyer, Charlie Droitsch, Shawn Ferguson. Coach, before we get into last week, congratulations on a regular season title and a 10-win season thus far. And the right to host. What are the feelings kind of like heading into the weekend for you in the program?
Yeah, I think the biggest feeling that we have is, again, just grateful that we get to stay home, stay in our own beds, in front of our own fans. Another year not having to travel. For me personally, not having to plan all the last minute travel because we don't look at hotels ahead of time, those types of things. So yeah, grateful. I think we don't take the opportunity lightly. I think we recognize that while some people might think it's easy, there's only 4 teams in our conference, that type of thing, or 4 other teams in our conference. Like we still have to do the work in order to host. And so we're grateful that we were able to accomplish that part of our goal for this year.
Guys, maybe kind of a little gut check moment. Not that you want to lose, but is it better that it came last week and then when a loss this weekend could end the season a little earlier than you're hoping?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it always sucks to lose, but losing now is better than losing in the tournament. We still have goals, and that's to win the RMAC, then win the Peach Belt, and then make it to the NCAA tournament and win that. So I'd rather take the loss now than later down in the road.
Yeah, same as Ferg said. Just losing now is a lot better than losing in the tournament. It helps our record a lot, and just like you said, we still have a lot of big plans ahead of us for this season. So we're gonna we still have a chance to get to that point.
This season, you've really seen CUI come on strong, and of course, always a battle with Westminster. If you win Thursday, you get one of those 2 teams again. But how hard is it, or easy is it to kind of preach about Thursday and not losing sight of that game before that potential championship opportunity?
Yeah, I think that's another blessing from what happened this past weekend. Like you said, it's a gut check. You kind of recognize and realize that you're not superhuman. You are beatable. And so not that, we're going into Thursday expecting to lose, but you can't just expect to win. You have to put the work in and make it happen as well. So I think focusing on Thursday is the easy part. Going into Saturday, thankfully we have the extra day in between now and not playing back-to-back days as we've done in the past. Gives us an opportunity to kind of, focus on which opponent we're going to get. You mentioned CUI's coming on strong. Westminster's always a troubling opponent for us. And so trying to figure out which team we're going to play, it's kind of a toss-up right now. And so having that extra day, the Friday, in order to practice and game plan is going to be huge. So.
What about from your perspective, guys? Is that kind of we just really focus on Thursday and then worry about the weekend after that?
For Thursday, I think we have some things that we can learn too. We've been practicing all week on kind of things that we can get better at. So I think we're going to take that into Thursday and really practice those things, hone those things in, and then hopefully play on Saturday and put the product on the field.
Yeah, being able to put our eyes just focusing just on that Thursday game, like Coach is saying, is really awesome. We get to, like you said, game plan first, specifically work on things that, we've seen weaknesses in from past losses to get better at this week, and just come in with that extra day to prepare for that championship game is awesome.
Charlie, you're a freshman on the squad this year. What has it been like year one of college lacrosse? How have things kind of been welcoming into the fold and then being able to contribute so significantly in year one? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, coming in, it was a reality check for sure. I knew coming in, this is a very successful historic program. So I knew coming in it wasn't going to be easy, and it was nothing but that. It was a hard fall, hard spring, but I feel like I prevailed pretty well through. Put my head down, grinded, got the work done, and just to be able to be on a team of this caliber and even contribute to a team of this caliber is just such a blessing.
Coach, first time in program history that the men's and the women's team are both hosting the conference tournament in the same weekend. How far does that go in developing the culture of lacrosse here at Colorado Mesa and kind of in the Western Slope as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Obviously, I start off and say congratulations to them, Coach D and the girls. Huge season so far. they've got it a little tougher than we do with the amount of teams they've got, and Regis always being a nationally recognized program. And so the fact that they were able to pick up a win against them and now host is awesome. I think just having the whole weekend kind of being lacrosse focused is great. I've gone through this thing a couple times where we've gotten to host, and like I said, past years it's just been like a Friday, Saturday, and it's over before you know it. And now we're sitting down and having conversations with the athletic directors about Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Wednesday practices, Sunday game. It just feels like lacrosse is going to be celebrated here this week and through the weekend. I think to answer your question about growth of lacrosse on the Western Slope, we've been having our guys go and help practice or coach at the youth practices, the Grand Valley Youth. And so I'm hoping that they've been putting the word in and are going to have a lot of fans out at our games, and the same thing for the girls. I know we've got some alumni that help coach in that area. Some of the current girls stop by and do individual lessons and things like that too. So hopefully the community is able to just kind of show up and show out, and we do make it that huge lacrosse weekend. I know that's the way we're looking at it. I know that's the way the women's team's looking at it. So I think it's just going to be an awesome weekend for lacrosse.
Now, for all of you guys, walk me through kind of the, tough emotions, or maybe, whatever emotion you might have had on Saturday, just kind of through the course of the game. What were you guys feeling, pretty much that entire 60 minutes?
Well, for the 60 minutes, I didn't think we were going to lose, but it ended up happening. After the game, I think for me it was more of like an eye opener. It was kind of like, well, we lost this game, but we didn't lose hosting rights or anything like that. Obviously, it sucks to lose, but at the end of the day, we still have the RMAC tournament, and that's what we need to focus on now. And we lost, and we can't change that, so it's time to move on. That's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, I mean, I started that game on the sideline and got to go in later in the game, and like going into a game of that caliber that late is it's crazy. But throughout the game, when we started out pretty hot, had a nice lead, and then they came back. Lacrosse's game of runs. We've always respected Westminster's opponent. They're always going to throw a good punch at us, and we're always going to throw a good punch back. And just to see kind of like how the game ended up, in the end, like he said, it sucks. It really does to lose that game, but it doesn't affect us not hosting. Really, the record and everything like that, we still get a host now. So in the end, it is what it is.
My emotions were all over the place, obviously. Yeah, I think the game kind of started slow from my standpoint. They scored first, then we answered pretty quickly after that, threw a couple more in, and by halftime ended up getting up. I've talked to you guys before about our standard. We weren't playing to our standard at all. So I was pretty disappointed through it, but we still had the lead, give up a run. And I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm either going to call a timeout here and try and refocus the guys, or they're just going to figure it out on their own. They end up figuring it out on their own to an extent. And then, when we hit overtime, I kind of the way Ferg answered, it wasn't a concern that we were going to lose. The only thing I know how to do in those moments is to continue to pump the team full of confidence. And so I speak in absolutes. We're going to win the face-off. We're going to go down and score. And that's all I kind of say. It didn't end up happening that way. And in fact, it went the other direction. But, I think, they kind of answered it. The feelings afterwards, the only thing I could say is it is what it is. We lost. We got to get over it. We got to focus up and move forward. We've got an opportunity to potentially see them again, which would be nice, and try and answer the bell there and in a much bigger moment. So you got to kind of keep your focus and understand what reality really is. Yeah, we lost a game. I didn't want to lose at home, certainly. It's something I've been keeping my eye on, and you always want to protect your home field. We didn't get to do that, but we have another opportunity at it this week.
Now, also on the other side of the bracket with CUI and Westminster, Coach, is there a team that you're saying, I'd rather play them than them, or are you just kind of respecting every team in the entire field?
Yeah, I think this year is special in that sense. In past years, it kind of was always the thought, even last year, the thought was that we're going to get Westminster, right? And it didn't end up happening. CUI ended up being there and showing us why in that final game, taking us to OT. But this year, like I said, it's kind of a toss-up. I don't necessarily have a preference on which team we play. Chuck said it. We respect all of our opponents. I think those two teams have earned it. We only beat CUI by one, which very easily could have gone to an overtime game. here on our home field, and Westminster we beat by 2 at their place and then lost in OT here. So both opponents have shown us kind of what they're capable of. I imagine their coaches are probably sitting at home trying to do the same thing I'm doing. How much better can we get? What can we fix? What can we improve upon? So, yeah, I don't know that I could necessarily pick an opponent that I'd rather see or would, not rather see. I think both of them are going to be a challenge, and I just am going to make sure that our guys are up for that. So,
I feel like I just asked you this question last week with Casados winning Player of the Week, but then Caden Hathaway wins it again this week. That's 4 weeks in a row you won Player of the Week. Kind of what does that mean? I mean, it seems like any given day you could have someone win Player of the Week. How special is that for the players that so many guys are impacting, whether any side of the ball?
Yeah, I think the awards are great, not because we get recognition, but because the guys get recognized for their their output, their own individual performance. I think if you ask a lot of those guys, they're going to say, yeah, it feels good to have my name out there. But at the end of the day, we're focused on the team result. And so I guarantee you, if you ask Cade, would you rather have a win on Saturday or get named Player of the Week? He would have said win, no question. To get back to your point, though, having so many guys able to get that award, I think it just speaks to the depth and that kind of saying that it's the next man up mentality. Anybody can step up and have the best game of their career or the best game of their season at any time. And we've shown that through the amount of different guys that have been recognized for the award. I also think that, I'm going to use a Saquon Barkley and Coach Sirianni quote, "You can't be great without the greatness of others." And so I think that speaks to just, defensively, our defense as a whole. Shaden only wins the award when the defense is great and having him see great shots. Cade only wins the award when he can trust the guys behind him to pick up the slack. And it goes all the way down the list. Same thing with Cam Casados at the faceoff X and his wings doing work. So it just speaks to the depth and the greatness of the guys we have in that side of the ball.
All right, we'll go to question of the week now for you guys. This week's question is, if you could go back to any moment in sports history, kind of what would it be and why? It doesn't have to be lacrosse related, but maybe it is for you guys.
I definitely I grew up playing hockey, so mine would definitely be the Miracle on Ice, USA beating Russia. That would just be like such a crazy moment to experience like in real life.
I have no idea.
Go ahead, Coach. I don't really know.
So I might go back to when the Philadelphia Phillies won the 2008 World Series. I was in high school, and we had the parade down Broad Street, and my mom didn't let me go. All my friends left. Like, nobody went to school that day. Everybody called out sick. I was one of 3 people in my Spanish class, and my mom was more worried about me having perfect attendance in high school than going to celebrate this event. And I remember her saying, "Don't worry, there'll be another one." And here we are in 2025, and the Phillies have not won another World Series in my lifetime. So, and now when the Eagles have won the past, Super Bowls, there's been the parades, and I haven't been around for either of them. So, like, just being able to go back to that one parade I could have gone to when I was in high school, I probably would go back to that moment, celebrate on Broad Street.
I don't have a specific moment, but I would probably go with Michael Jordan Game 7 of anything. Like, honestly, that just sounds pretty awesome. So why not?
Those are good answers. All right, thank you, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Catch a Coach D.